Captain Lisa Morgan stood outside the door and took a deep breath. She checked her uniform one more time and made sure her weapon was secure. 3 months had passed since she started this job, but she still felt nervous every morning. Not because she was afraid of danger. Lisa had faced much worse things than this. She felt nervous because of her. The door opened with a soft sound and Lisa stepped into the room. Sunlight came through the big window, making everything bright and warm. Ambassador Elindra Starweaver stood by the window, looking out at the stars. Her long silver hair moved like water when she turned around. Her purple eyes looked at Lisa with something that might have been a smile. Lisa had protected many important people before, but none of them looked like Elindra. The elf woman was tall and moved like a dancer. Her ears came to points at the tips and her skin looked like it had never seen a day of hard work. Everything about her was perfect, and that made Lisa feel strange inside. "Good morning, Captain Morgan," Elindra said. Her voice sounded like music. "Did you sleep well?" "Yes, ma'am. I am ready for today's meeting with the human leaders." Lisa kept her voice steady and professional. She had learned not to show her feelings on her face. But the truth was different. Lisa had not slept well at all. Reports kept coming in about enemy ships moving in space. The Zephyrians were getting ready for something big. Lisa could feel it in her bones. Something bad was coming, and soon. Elindra walked away from the window and came closer to Lisa. "You know, in all my years of diplomatic work, I have never had a human guard who seemed so worried about everything." Lisa did not change her expression. "I am just doing my job, Ambassador." "Of course you are." Elindra smiled, but Lisa could not tell what she was thinking. "Just a guard." If only she knew the truth, Lisa thought. She was not just any guard. Lisa Morgan was one of the best soldiers humanity had ever trained. She had fought in wars that most people did not even know about. She had killed enemies with her bare hands and saved entire planets from destruction. The government had picked her for this job because they knew something terrible was going to happen. They walked toward the meeting room where other diplomats were waiting. Lisa followed behind Elindra, watching everything around them. Her training never stopped. She looked for exits, weapons, anything that could be used to protect or attack. Her enhanced senses picked up sounds and smells that normal people could not notice. The meeting room was full of important people from both Earth and the elf homeworld. They sat around a big table covered with papers and computer screens. Everyone was talking about trade and business, but Lisa knew this was about much more than that. These talks were about creating an alliance between humans and elves. If they worked together, they could defend against any enemy in the galaxy. Elindra took her seat at the table and began talking with the human representatives. She spoke about shipping routes and mining rights, but Lisa could hear the real meaning behind her words. The elves needed human military help. The humans needed elf technology. Together, they could be unstoppable. Lisa stood by the wall and watched, everyone in the room. Her job was to protect Elindra, but she also gathered information. Who seemed nervous? Who was asking strange questions? Who might be working for the enemy? 30 minutes into the meeting, Lisa felt a small vibration in her ear. It was her communication device receiving a message that only she could hear. The message made her blood turn cold. 3,000 enemy ships had just appeared at the edge of the solar system. Lisa did not move or change her expression, but inside she was already planning. The Zephyrians had found them. The lizard-like aliens had been watching human and elf movements for months, waiting for the right moment to strike. They saw the alliance talks as a threat to their own plans for conquest. She looked at Elindra, who was still talking calmly with the diplomats. The elf woman had no idea that death was racing toward them through space. In a few hours, maybe less, this peaceful meeting would turn into a battle for survival. Lisa had read all the intelligence reports about Zephyrian tactics. They did not just want to stop the alliance talks, they wanted to kill everyone involved, especially Elindra. The elf ambassador was famous throughout the galaxy for bringing different species together. If she died, it would be much harder for anyone to trust diplomatic solutions in the future. The communication device in Lisa's ear buzzed again with an update. The enemy fleet was moving fast, much faster than expected. They would reach the human space station in less than 2 hours. Lisa made a decision. She could not tell Elindra about the danger yet, not while they were in a room full of people. But she could start preparing. Slowly, she moved her hand to her weapon and checked that it was ready to fire. She looked around the room again, this time planning how to get Elindra out quickly if needed. The ambassador must have felt Lisa watching her, because she turned and looked directly at her guard. For a moment, their eyes met across the room. Elindra's purple eyes seemed to see right through Lisa's professional mask. She tilted her head slightly as if asking a question. Lisa gave a tiny nod, hoping Elindra would understand that something was wrong but not panic. The elf woman was smart. She had survived centuries of dangerous diplomatic missions. She would know what the nod meant. Elindra turned back to the meeting, but Lisa noticed that her voice became a little more urgent as she spoke with the human leaders. Maybe she was trying to finish the important parts of the negotiation before whatever Lisa was worried about happened. Another message came through Lisa's device. The enemy ships had weapons powered up and ready to fire. This was not going to be a peaceful meeting or a show of force. The Zephyrians were coming to kill everyone on the station. Lisa thought about her orders. Protect the ambassador at all costs. Get her to safety if possible. And if capture seemed likely, make sure she could not be taken alive to reveal state secrets. That last part of her orders always made Lisa feel sick. She was supposed to kill Elindra rather than let enemies capture her. But looking at the beautiful elf woman now, listening to her musical voice as she worked to bring peace between species, Lisa knew she could never follow that order. She would protect Elindra with her life, even if it meant disobeying direct commands from her own government. Even if it meant fighting 3,000 enemy ships with nothing but her training and her weapons. Because somewhere in the last 3 months, protecting Elindra had stopped being just a job. It had become something much more personal and dangerous. It had become love. The peace talks had been going well for almost an hour when Lisa's communication device started making urgent warning sounds in her ear. She stayed in her position by the wall, but every muscle in her body was ready to move. The sounds meant only one thing: danger was coming. Through her enhanced hearing, Lisa picked up radio messages from the space station's control room. The voices sounded worried and scared. Large fleet detected approaching the station. Zephyrian ships confirmed. Hundreds of them. Request immediate military backup. Lisa watched Elindra carefully. The elf ambassador was still talking with the human diplomats about mining rights in the outer colonies. She had not heard the radio messages yet, but Lisa could see her starting to look uncomfortable. Elindra had good instincts after centuries of dangerous work. Suddenly, the station's communication system came alive with Captain Rodriguez's voice. Attention all personnel. We have detected a large enemy fleet entering our space. This is not a training exercise. All diplomatic staff must go to secure areas immediately and wait for further orders. The meeting room exploded with worried voices. Some people stood up quickly and started moving toward the doors. Others grabbed their papers and computer tablets. Everyone looked scared, but they were trying not to show it. Lisa stepped forward, ready to take charge of the situation. This was what she had trained for her entire military career, but Elindra surprised her by standing up calmly and speaking in her musical voice. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we should stop our meeting for today. Captain Morgan will take care of security procedures. The other diplomats nodded and began leaving the room with their own guards. But Elindra did not move right away. She stood by the table watching Lisa with those purple eyes that seemed to see everything. Captain, may I ask you something? Yes, ma'am. How dangerous is this situation? Please tell me the truth. Lisa looked at the elf woman and made a quick decision. Elindra deserved to know what they were facing, even if some of the information was classified above her security level. Dangerous enough that the military sent their best soldier to protect you. Elindra's eyebrows went up in surprise. Their best? I was told you were just a normal protection specialist. I am whatever you need me to be, Lisa answered, starting to guide Elindra toward the door. What she did not say was that her military record included single-handedly holding off an entire enemy army for 3 days, or that she had been recruited into the most secret military program in human space. As they walked through the station's corridors, Lisa's communication device kept feeding her new information about the approaching fleet. The news got worse with each update. This was not just a large group of enemy ships, this was an invasion force designed to destroy everything in its path. "Captain," Elindra said softly as they walked, "I need to tell you something important. The negotiations we are having are not just about trade and business." Lisa kept walking but listened carefully. "We are trying to create a full military alliance between humans and elves. If the Zephyrians stop these talks, both our species will be in great danger." "They will not stop the talks," Lisa said with complete confidence. Elindra stopped walking and stared at her guard. "How can you be so sure?" "Because I would die before letting anything happen to you," Lisa thought. But what she said out loud was, "Because I am very good at my job." They reached the secure quarters where Elindra was supposed to stay during emergencies. The room had thick metal walls and its own air supply. It was designed to keep important people safe during attacks on the station. But Lisa's communication device was telling her that even these quarters might not be safe enough. The enemy fleet was not just big, it was huge. 3,000 ships, including the largest and most dangerous warships the Zephyrians had ever built. "Captain," Elindra said once they were inside the secure room, "there is something else you need to know." Lisa was checking the room's defense systems, but she looked up when she heard the serious tone in Elindra's voice. "The negotiations are not just about creating a military alliance. We are also discussing the possibility of biological cooperation between our species." "What does that mean?" Elindra's purple eyes looked sad and worried. "It means we are trying to find ways for humans and elves to have children together. To truly unite our species, not just politically, but genetically." Lisa felt like someone had hit her in the stomach. The implications of what Elindra was saying hit her like a physical blow. "That is why they want you dead." "Yes. And it is why your government chose someone like you to protect me." "Lisa, I know what you really are." "What?" "I have known since the first week you were assigned to me. Enhanced reflexes, improved strength, the way you never seem to need much sleep. You are not just a normal soldier." Lisa stared at the elf woman, wondering how much she actually knew. Those details were supposed to be hidden from everyone except the highest military commanders. "I also know," Elindra continued quietly, "that your orders probably include killing me if there is a chance I might be captured by enemies." Lisa's blood turned to ice in her veins. Those orders were so secret that most soldiers never even learned they existed. "Ambassador, I cannot discuss classified information." "It is all right," Elindra said with a sad smile. "I understand why such orders would exist. The information I carry is too dangerous to let enemies have it. But I want you to know something." The station shook with a distant explosion. The attack had begun. "What?" Lisa asked, though part of her was afraid to hear the answer. "These past 3 months, I have been watching you. I have seen how you protect me, not just because it is your job, but because you care about me as a person." Elindra stepped closer, so close that Lisa could smell the light perfume she wore. "I think I am falling in love with my guard." Before Lisa could respond to that shocking confession, her communication device started screaming warnings directly into her brain. Enemy boarding ships had been launched toward the station. The Zephyrians were not just going to attack from long distance. They were coming aboard to kill everyone personally. "Ambassador," Lisa said, her voice becoming hard and professional, "we need to move to a different location. These quarters are not safe anymore." "Where can we go?" "This is supposed to be the most secure place on the station." Lisa was already moving toward a wall panel that looked like decoration, but was actually hiding emergency equipment. Her fingerprint opened the panel, revealing military armor and weapons that were definitely not standard equipment for normal guards. "Somewhere they will not expect us to be," Lisa said as she began putting on the advanced combat suit. "And Ambassador, everything you think you know about this mission is wrong. The Zephyrians are not here by accident. They are here specifically to kill you. Alindra's face went white with shock. That is impossible. The peace talks were completely secret. Someone told them about the talks, Lisa said, checking the power level on her plasma rifle. The alliance between humans and elves would end Zephyrian hopes of conquering this part of the galaxy. You are not just a diplomat anymore. You are the most important person in the war. Another explosion, much closer this time. Through the small window, Lisa could see enemy ships attaching themselves to the station's hull like metal parasites. They are boarding us, Lisa said grimly. In about 2 minutes, this room will be full of enemy soldiers trying to capture or kill you. She turned to look at Alindra, this beautiful and brave woman who had just told her something that changed everything between them. Ambassador, you're about to learn why the military really sent me to protect you. The lights went out completely, replaced by the red glow of emergency power. In the distance, they could hear the sounds of battle beginning. Plasma weapons firing, metal being torn apart, and the terrible roars of Zephyrian warriors. Lisa picked up her weapon and moved toward the door. Stay close to me and do exactly what I say. No matter what happens, do not leave my side. As if to prove her point, the sounds of fighting got much closer. The enemy had found their section of the station. Lisa Morgan, one of humanity's most deadly soldiers, was about to show 3,000 enemy warriors what happened when someone threatened the woman she had fallen in love with. The first enemy missile hit the space station like a giant hammer. Lisa was thrown against the wall as the lights flickered and warning sirens began screaming throughout the station. The metal floors and walls shook so hard that Lisa could feel it in her bones. Direct hit on the left side shields. Captain Rodriguez's voice came through the communication system, crackling with static. All personnel to battle stations immediately. Alindra had been knocked to her knees by the impact. She looked up at Lisa with eyes wide with shock and fear. I thought you said they would not succeed in stopping us. Plans changed, Lisa said shortly, helping the ambassador back to her feet. Her communication device was sending urgent warnings directly into her brain. The station's defense ships were already fighting enemy fighters in space, and the main enemy fleet was still getting closer. We need to move right now. Where? You said these rooms were the safest place on the station. Lisa was already moving toward a wall section that most people would think was just decorative metal. When she put her palm against it, a hidden door opened to reveal military equipment that definitely did not belong to a normal protection specialist. Ambassador, listen to me very carefully, Lisa said, as she quickly put on the advanced armor. The suit was black and covered with sensors and weapon attachments. Everything you think you know about this assignment is classified above your security clearance. The Zephyrians are not here by chance. They came here specifically to kill you. Alindra's face turned pale. What? That cannot be true. The peace negotiations were completely secret. Someone leaked the information to them. Lisa checked her plasma rifle, a weapon powerful enough to cut through heavy battle armor. The military alliance between humans and elves represents the biggest threat to Zephyrian expansion plans in the galaxy. You are not just a diplomat anymore, Ambassador. You are the key to everything. Another massive impact threw them both against the far wall. Through the small window, Lisa could see Zephyrian attack pods flying toward the station like deadly insects. They are sending boarding parties, Lisa said quietly, then spoke louder. Ambassador, in about 1 minute, this room will be the most dangerous place on the entire station. I can get you to the escape pods, but you have to do exactly what I tell you without asking questions. Captain Morgan. Alindra's voice was steady despite all the chaos around them. Who are you, really? Lisa stopped checking her equipment and looked directly into those beautiful purple eyes that had been in her thoughts for months. Someone who cares more about keeping you alive than following orders. Before Alindra could ask what that meant, Lisa's enhanced hearing picked up the sound of cutting tools working through metal walls 3 sections away from their location. The enemy boarding parties were moving through the station faster than she had expected. Ambassador, Lisa said, moving toward the door with her weapon ready. You are about to see why military command really chose me for this assignment. The lights went out completely. leaving them in darkness except for the red glow of emergency lighting. In the distance, the sounds of battle were getting closer. Plasma weapons firing, people screaming, and the terrible roaring sounds that Zephyrian warriors made when they fought. Lisa opened the door carefully and looked out into the corridor. Her enhanced vision could see clearly even in the dim red light. The hallway was empty for now, but she could hear enemy soldiers getting closer with each passing second. "Stay directly behind me," she whispered to Elindra. "Step where I step. Do not make any noise. If I tell you to run, you run without looking back." They moved out into the corridor like ghosts. Lisa's military training took over completely. Every step was calculated. Every movement was designed to avoid detection. She used her enhanced senses to track enemy positions throughout the station. But as they moved toward the escape pod section, Lisa's worst fears came true. Her communication device showed enemy forces surrounding all the evacuation routes. The Zephyrians had studied human station designs and knew exactly where people would try to escape. "Captain," Elindra whispered very quietly, "I need to tell you something important. Can it wait until we are not about to die?" "No." Elindra grabbed Lisa's arm with surprising strength. "The negotiations are not just about a military alliance. I am carrying genetic information that would allow humans and elves to have children together. Our species could truly become one people, not just allies." Lisa stared at her, understanding the full implications of what Elindra was telling her. "That is why they want you dead so badly. And why your people chose someone like you to protect me. Lisa, I know what you are. I have known since the first week you were assigned to me." "What do you mean?" "Enhanced soldiers leave traces if you know how to look for them. Faster healing, quicker reflexes, the way you can go days without real sleep." Elindra's purple eyes were sad but determined. "I also know that your orders probably include killing me if capture looks certain." Lisa felt like ice water was flowing through her veins. Those orders were buried so deep in classified military protocols that even most enhanced soldiers never saw them. "Ambassador, I cannot discuss operational details." "It is okay," Elindra said softly. "I understand the logic behind such orders. But I need you to know something else before we go any further." An explosion somewhere above them sent dust falling from the ceiling. They were running out of time very quickly. "Tell me, these past 3 months watching you protect me, seeing how much you care not just about the mission but about me as a person." Elindra stepped closer, close enough that Lisa could see tiny flecks of silver in those purple eyes. "I think I have fallen in love with my guard." Before Lisa could respond to that shocking confession, her communication device screamed a warning that made her blood freeze. Enemy forces had found their exact location. "Ambassador," Lisa said, raising her rifle and checking her remaining ammunition, "I need you to get behind that support beam and stay down. No matter what happens, do not leave cover until I tell you it is safe." "Lisa, there are too many of them for one person to fight." "There are exactly the right number," Lisa replied. Her voice carried a cold certainty that made Elindra shiver, with fear and something else. "Because now I know what I am really fighting for." Heavy footsteps echoed through the corridor as Zephyrian soldiers began moving toward their position from both directions. Lisa could hear them talking to each other in their harsh, guttural language. They were planning to capture Elindra alive, if possible, but they were ready to kill her if necessary. Lisa looked at the woman crouched behind the metal beam, the woman who had just told her she was in love with her, the woman who carried the genetic keys to unite two species, the woman who represented hope for peace in a galaxy torn apart by war. "Elindra," Lisa said quietly. "Yes?" "When this is over, we are going to have a very long conversation about everything you just told me. Does that mean you plan for both of us to survive this?" Lisa smiled grimly as the first enemy soldier appeared at the end of the corridor. "Ambassador, you are about to learn why humanity's enhanced soldier program exists." She raised her weapon as more enemies appeared from the opposite direction. They were trapped in the middle of a corridor with nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. And why love can make even the deadliest warrior fight beyond all possible limits. The battle for their lives was about to begin. Lisa's enhanced vision cut through the red emergency lighting like it was bright daylight as she led Alindra through corridors that had become a war zone. Behind them, the sounds of battle grew louder and closer. Plasma fire lit up the darkness, metal was being torn apart, and the terrible roars of Zephyrian warriors echoed through the station. "The escape pods are 3 levels down," Lisa whispered, checking the tactical display that appeared in her vision. Red dots representing enemy soldiers were spreading through the station like a deadly infection. "We have to move fast and stay quiet." They had made it halfway to the emergency stairwell when Lisa's enhanced hearing detected movement ahead of them. She raised her fist in a signal for Alindra to stop, just as 6 Zephyrian soldiers came around the corner in perfect military formation. The fight lasted exactly 14 seconds. Lisa moved like liquid death. Her enhanced reflexes and years of deadly training turned her into something that barely seemed human anymore. The first Zephyrian soldier barely had time to see her before her plasma rifle burned a hole through his chest armor. She rolled to the left side, avoiding the return fire from his companions, and came up shooting. 2 more enemies fell to the ground. The remaining 3 soldiers spread out to try to surround her, but Lisa had already predicted their movements. She threw a flashbang grenade and used the blinding light and noise to get closer to them. Her combat knife found weak spots in their armor with surgical precision. When the smoke cleared and the ringing sounds faded, 6 Zephyrian soldiers lay, dead in the corridor. Alindra stared at Lisa with a mixture of amazement and terror. "You are not human," she whispered. "I am very human," Lisa replied, reloading her weapon with practiced speed. "Just enhanced. We need to keep moving." But as they reached the stairwell that led to the escape pods, Lisa's worst fears were confirmed. Her tactical display showed enemy forces gathering around all the evacuation areas. The Zephyrians had studied the station's layout and were systematically cutting off every possible escape route. "Captain," Alindra said quietly, "there is something else I need to tell you. Can it wait until we are not about to be killed?" "No." Alindra grabbed Lisa's arm with surprising strength for someone who looked so delicate. "The negotiations are not just about a military alliance. I am carrying genetic codes that could allow humans and elves to reproduce together. Our species could truly unite, not just politically, but biologically." Lisa stared at her, the full implications hitting like a physical blow to her chest. "That is why they want you dead, and why your people chose you to protect me. Lisa, I know what you are. I have known since the first week." "What do you mean?" "Enhanced soldiers leave certain traces if you know how to look for them. Improved metabolism, faster reaction times, the way you never really sleep deeply." Alindra's purple eyes were sad but filled with determination. "I also know that your orders probably include eliminating me if capture becomes certain." Lisa's blood went cold. Those orders were buried so deep in classified protocols that even most enhanced soldiers never saw them. "Ambassador, I cannot discuss operational parameters." "It is all right," Alindra said softly. "I understand the military logic, but I need you to know something else." An explosion somewhere above them shook dust from the ceiling. Time was running out very quickly. "I am listening. These past 3 months watching you protect me, seeing how you care not just about the mission but about me personally." Alindra stepped closer, close enough that Lisa could see flecks of silver in those beautiful purple eyes. "I think I have fallen in love with my guard." Before Lisa could respond, her communication device screamed a proximity warning that made her heart stop. Enemy forces had found their exact location. "Ambassador," Lisa said, shouldering her rifle and checking her remaining ammunition, "I need you to get behind me and stay down. No matter what happens, do not leave cover until I tell you." "Lisa, there are too many of them for one person to fight." "There are exactly the right number," Lisa replied, her voice carrying a cold certainty that made Alindra shiver. "Because now I know what I am really fighting for." Zephyrian soldiers began pouring into the stairwell from both above and below their position. Lisa had positioned herself on the landing between floors, giving her clear lines of sight in both directions, while keeping Alindra protected behind a reinforced support beam. Her enhanced tactical systems turned the chaotic battle into a deadly dance of mathematics and precision. Plasma bolts burned through the air around her as enemy soldiers poured down from the upper levels. Lisa's rifle spoke in controlled bursts, each shot finding its target with inhuman accuracy. But for every enemy she killed, 2 more seemed to take their place. "Lisa," Elindra called out as a plasma bolt burned through the air just inches from Lisa's head. "There are too many of them." Lisa triggered her last flashbang grenade and used the confusion to change position. Her ammunition counter showed 15 rounds remaining. The tactical display showed 43 enemy combatants still active in the immediate area. The mathematics were not in their favor. "Ambassador," Lisa called back, never taking her eyes off the stairwell. "I need you to know something important." "What?" Elindra's voice was tight with fear and something else that sounded like determination. "Those orders you mentioned? The ones about eliminating you if capture seemed certain?" Lisa dropped 2 more Zephyrians with precise headshots. "I deleted them from my mission parameters 3 weeks ago." "You did what?" "I chose you over orders," Lisa said simply, as if it was the most natural thing in the world. "I chose love over duty." A massive Zephyrian in command armor appeared at the top of the stairwell. His energy sword crackled with lethal blue force. Lisa's rifle clicked empty just as he began his charge down the stairs. Time seemed to slow as Lisa's combat enhancements flooded her system with artificial adrenaline and enhanced reflexes. She dropped the empty rifle and drew her combat knife in one fluid motion, meeting the alien warrior's charge with speed that seemed to defy human limitations. The fight was brutal and swift. The Zephyrian's energy sword carved chunks from the walls as Lisa danced around his powerful strikes looking for openings in his armor. She found one when he overextended on a downward slash, slipping inside his guard to drive her knife up through a gap in his armor. As the massive commander fell, Lisa heard something that made her heart stop completely. The sound of Elindra, crying out in alarm. She spun around to see 3 Zephyrian soldiers who had somehow flanked their position. They had energy weapons trained directly on the ambassador. One of them was already speaking into a communication device, probably calling for an extraction team. "Captain Morgan," the lead soldier said in heavily accented standard language, "surrender immediately and the ambassador lives. Resist further, and we kill her where she stands." Lisa was 20 feet away from them, with no ammunition left, and only a knife against 3 armed enemies. Every tactical analysis her enhanced systems could run came back with the same result. The odds were impossible. She stepped forward anyway. "You know what?" Lisa said in a conversational tone, rolling the knife handle in her palm like she was getting ready to throw it. "I have spent my whole military career following orders, calculating odds, making the smart tactical choice." Another step forward. The Zephyrians tensed, but their weapons remained trained on Elindra. "But the thing about being human is that sometimes we do things that make no tactical sense at all. Sometimes we do impossible things because someone we love is in danger. Stay back, human, or the ambassador dies." Lisa smiled grimly and took another step forward. "Try to stop me." Lisa moved faster than the Zephyrian soldiers could track with their eyes. In less than 2 seconds, she crossed the 20-foot gap between them. Her knife found the throat of the first soldier before he could pull the trigger on his weapon. She grabbed his falling body and used it as a shield against the second soldier's shot, while taking his energy rifle. The third soldier got off one wild shot before Lisa's stolen weapon burned through his chest armor. When the silence fell over the stairwell, Lisa was breathing hard and surrounded by enemy bodies. Elindra stared at her with undisguised amazement and something that looked like awe. "That was impossible," Elindra said softly. "Yeah, well," Lisa replied, checking the captured weapons for ammunition. "Humans are good at impossible things, especially when we are protecting someone important to us." Her communication device chimed with an update that made her smile for the first time in hours. Human and elf reinforcement fleets had arrived in the star system and were systematically destroying the Zephyrian forces. The tide of battle was turning. "The cavalry is here," Lisa announced, finally allowing herself to relax slightly. "We are going to be fine." Alindra stood slowly from behind the support beam, her purple eyes never leaving Lisa's face. Captain Morgan, Lisa, I need to ask you something. Go ahead. When this is over, when the negotiations are complete and the alliance is signed, what happens to us? Lisa looked at the woman she had just fought 37 armed enemies to protect. The woman whose smile made her forget about duty and protocol. The woman who represented the future of two species working together. The woman she had realized she was in love with. Well, Lisa said, slinging the captured rifle over her shoulder. I figure I will need a new job assignment. And you will need someone to watch your back during all those future diplomatic missions. Is that a professional recommendation? That is a personal request, Lisa replied, stepping closer to Alindra. Because it turns out you were wrong about something, Ambassador. What is that? Lisa moved close enough to see her own reflection. In those beautiful purple eyes. I was never just a guard. From the moment I met you, I have been the woman who would risk everything to keep you safe. As if to prove her point, the station's communication system crackled to life with Captain Rodriguez's voice. All clear. Zephyrian forces have been completely neutralized. Diplomatic personnel are cleared to resume normal activities. But Lisa and Alindra barely heard the announcement. They were too busy looking at each other and thinking about what came next. Lisa, Alindra said quietly, when I told you I was falling in love with my guard, I meant it. When I told you I chose love over duty, I meant it too. Alindra reached out and took Lisa's hand. Even through the combat gloves, Lisa could feel how warm and soft her skin was. The genetic research I have been carrying, Alindra said, it is not just theoretical. The possibility of humans and elves having children together is real, but it would require very specific genetic compatibility. Lisa felt her heart start beating faster. What are you saying? I am saying that when we get back to Earth, I would like to find out if we are genetically compatible. For the sake of science, of course. Lisa laughed, a real laugh that came from deep in her chest. Of course. For science. They started walking toward the upper levels of the station, where the diplomatic quarters were located. Around them, station personnel were beginning to emerge from emergency shelters. The immediate danger was over, but Lisa knew that bigger challenges lay ahead. There will be more negotiations, Alindra said as they walked. More diplomatic missions, more enemies who want to stop the alliance between our species. I know. It will be dangerous work, much more dangerous than a normal protection assignment. I know that too. Alindra stopped walking and turned to face Lisa directly. And you still want to stay with me? Even knowing that it might mean disobeying orders from your own government? Lisa thought about everything that had happened in the past few hours. She had deleted classified orders. She had fought impossible odds. She had chosen love over military duty. Any one of those things could result in a court-martial and imprisonment. But looking at Alindra now, thinking about the possibility of a future together, Lisa knew she would make the same choices again. Ambassador, Lisa said with complete certainty, I just fought 3,000 enemy soldiers to protect you. I think I can handle a few difficult conversations with my commanding officers. Alindra smiled, the first genuine smile Lisa had seen from her in days. In that case, Captain Morgan, I have a proposition for you. I am listening. How would you feel about becoming my permanent personal security chief? The position would involve extensive travel throughout the galaxy, frequent exposure to dangerous situations, and working very closely with me on a daily basis. Lisa pretended to think about it seriously. That sounds like a very demanding job, Ambassador. It would be. The hours would be long, the work would be stressful, and the pay would probably not be very good. Those are some serious disadvantages. But, Alindra said, stepping closer until they were almost touching, there would be some significant benefits as well. Such as? Instead of answering with words, Alindra reached up and kissed Lisa softly on the lips. It was gentle and sweet, and filled with promise for the future. When they broke apart, Lisa was smiling widely. You know what, Ambassador? I think I am very interested in that position. Excellent, Alindra said with satisfaction. When can you start? Lisa looked around at the battle-damaged station, thinking about all the work that lay ahead of them. Building the Human-Elf alliance would take years of careful diplomacy. There would be more enemies to face, more dangers to overcome, and more impossible situations to survive, but they would face all of it together. "I already started," Lisa said, taking Elindra's hand in hers. 3 months ago, when I realized that protecting you was not just my job anymore, it was my life. As they walked toward their quarters together, Lisa's communication device chimed one final time with a message from military command. She looked at it briefly, then deleted it without reading the full text. Some orders were worth following. Others were worth breaking for love. Lisa Morgan had learned the difference, and she had chosen accordingly. After all, that is what guards really do. They protect what matters most, no matter the cost.